We had a big tree in our yard in Beige. When we row over our old home, we can still see the ends of its branches sticking out of water. It is upsetting, said Rajuben Vasawa. Rajuben and her family are one of the nearly 2.5 million households, one-fifth of Gujarat's population, who have lost their land and homes between 1947 and 2004 to the construction of dams. Five Adivasi families in Gujarat who lost their homes and livelihood to these dams tell their stories. Displacement affects everyone, but the economic, social, and emotional cost was disproportionately high for women. 55-year-old Geetaben Talar lived a comfortable life in Baghoi in Panchmahal's district of Gujarat. The tube well on her land ensured plenty of crop and fodder for the cattle. Now, her village, along with 51 other villages, lies submerged under Pannam Dam's waters. Geetaben now lives in Ajanwa village in Gujarat's Santrampur district. With sparse irrigation and less than half an acre of land, she struggles to earn a living. She is forced to depend on the forest to supplement her meager earning. She and other women from Ajanwa collect timbru leaves used to make beedis from the forest. 50 leaves fetch just 1 rupee. Despite growing dependence of the resettled Adivasi families on forests, the Forest Rights Act has failed to secure their livelihood. 60% of the claims made under FRA were either pending approval or had been rejected, according to a 2018 study by the Working Group on Women and Land Ownership. Even resettled families living in villages that are hardly 10 kilometers away from the reservoir struggle with easy access to water due to the lack of irrigation channels. People in these villages can see water but cannot use it. We make at least 4 trips a day to fetch drinking water from a tube well that is 1 kilometer away, says Geetaben Talar of Ajanwa, a village in Santrampur. Ensuring water for the family is always a woman's responsibility. In villages where the irrigation projects have reached, the agricultural productivity of resettled families has increased. But this has only translated into an increase in women's labor. Najuben Gamit and her family moved to Mandav Khadak in 1983 when the Kelia Dam was constructed in Navsari district. They purchased a 7-acre land with the compensation money from the sale of 11 acres they owned earlier. For the first 4 years of rehabilitation, we farmed both lands, the one in the village from which we were displaced and the other in the village where we resettled, and did household chores too, said Najubain. This was common practice for families like hers when their previous lands hadn't yet been fully submerged and the new lands had been purchased. Families in Dholivera, a small village in Narmada district, still maintain connections with their old plots that were engulfed by the waters of the Ukai Dam. After harvesting crops grown on the old lands, women engage in sukha kheti in their resettled villages. Displacement has caused joint families to split. This has translated into additional workload for women. Harilal Bhai Vasawa was 6 years old when his family relocated. I feel this impacted my mother then because she had to work on the fields on her own. Earlier, women worked collectively, he said. The relocation has also stripped families of an irreplaceable resource, grazing land for their cattle. Like all other tasks, the burden of collecting fodder has also fallen on women's shoulders. I don't know why my father-in-law chose this village to buy land in and how much compensation we got when our land was acquired, said Rajuben Vasawa. In almost all families, male members made the decision of how the compensation money was to be spent. Rehabilitation left women emotionally drained. They worked as labor in the construction of the dams that would ultimately submerge their own homes. We were earning 3 rupees per day constructing the Karjan Dam, which was very good for the time. Watching our house submerge felt bad. Even after we got the compensation money, we regretted it, said Raju Bain.